Time now for the 10-minute war, and we bring in for that perhaps the world's one and only reasonable bucknut. And there he is, wearing blue. Doesn't he look good? Different shade, but same color. It's our good friend, Mark Rogers. Check out his YouTube page. It's phenomenal year-round college football information on the voice of college football. And this is really these next few months, by the way. This is really when you can learn some information ahead of the curve and ahead of the markets that help you make money when those preseason bets open up. Right now, you can already bet for the national championship, for example. First bet I made last year was Georgia 10-1. To win the national championship. Obviously, that paid off. I've already bet Georgia and Alabama at 325, plus 325 to win the national championship. I bet Michigan at Texas A&M and Texas A&M at plus 2,000 to win the national championship. And Ohio State, I think I got at plus 700, I want to say. Those are the bets I've already made for 2022. But Mark, good to see you, brother. How are you?
I'm wearing my Kentucky blue to set the record straight, but also I can't believe that you're letting your viewers know that you put a few bucks on the Buckeyes.
I'm into money, brother. I like winning. That's what I like. I bet the Buckeyes to win the national championship this year, too. In fact, I figured out with the odds, I mean, there was about 97% odds that Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, or Ohio State was going to win the whole thing, right? Okay. So how much do I have to bet with the odds on all of them to make sure that I make a profit? And I did all that math, and I bet that amount of money on each of those teams accordingly. So before we get into my crystal ball, though, and who knows, I mean, this is an ongoing, developing story. We might have some kind of resolution by the time this shows up on YouTube tonight, or people watch it here the next few days. But Jim Harbaugh has moved into the lead in Vegas, 2-1 now, to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And you can kind of see the way things are lining up, why people think that. They got rid of the GM, Mike Mayock, but not the coach. And so you clear the way for Harbaugh to hire his own GM, if he wants, to name his GM. Furthermore, you keep the coach, but they have done one coaching interview, and it's a minority, Gerard Mayo in New England. So you check that, the Rooney box, right? And then you negotiate with Harbaugh, and if you can get him to come, great. If not, you keep the interim coach that everybody loves, and you move on. And oh, by the way, one of Jim's best friends in coaching, Vic Fangio, who he won a ton of games with at Stanford and the 49ers as a defensive coordinator. He was the coach of the Broncos. He's suddenly available. You can see stars are aligning here, and yet we've got all kinds of photos and everything else of Harbaugh's doing recruiting all over the country right now. What's your read of this story?
He succeeded in the NFL before. I think that if he is concerned about his legacy, if he's concerned about setting himself up for success and not necessarily just going to grab a paycheck. And I think he's positioned himself in terms of his career and hopefully his finances, I would think, to make a wise decision and go for the better job, the better long-term job, and not just a cash grab. I would think that the most important topic that he would have to determine in his mind is where this Michigan football program is, where it can be, what he can do with it, where the ceiling is based on what he saw on the field on New Year's Eve and what he projects forward. And maybe he believes that he has done his good deed at Michigan. He took over the program. He's leaving it in a much better place, and he has been a Michigan man, and he checked off the box of beating Ohio State, winning a Big Ten championship, and putting this program in a much better place, but doesn't necessarily feel that it's likely that the program can continue to ascend. And, of course, look at his work at San Francisco. He probably feels confident that unlike most college coaches, that he knows the NFL game, he knows how to win at the next level, that let's take on the next challenge.
So, gun to your head, a week from now, where is Jim Harbaugh coaching football, do you think?
Gun to my head, he's still at Michigan.
Okay. Well, let's now take a look back. So my crystal ball has been a key component of my college football preview every year. It is where I try to make 25 predictions of things that I think will or won't happen in the upcoming season. These get written in mid to late June, published in early to mid-July. And by our account, we just did the whole rundown right before you came on. I know you've had a chance to refresh your memory on that as well. We have two incompletes because we don't know for certain yet that this isn't Harbaugh's final season. And therefore, I think you have to give it incomplete on what happens with Matt Campbell, plus there's word he's interviewing for NFL jobs, because that could be a domino effect. I think that if Jim moves on, one of these four guys will be the next Michigan coach.